Greatly appreciate that. All right, and then I am also recording this, so that way there was a lot of coaches that could not make it tonight that wanted to have this for their kids later on. So, all
Works for
right,
me.
yeah, all right. Well, hello everyone. My name is Dr. Curtis Graham. I am a middle school coach, teacher in the Maplewood School District. We are getting ready to teach the kids about how to kind of capture some of the awesome things they're doing throughout the year. And Dan, the legend Clerkie here, has offered to come in and provide some insight as well. And so we're opening this up to the community so that way you guys can ask some questions, get some stuff that might help you guys out as you're thinking about it. And even if you're not planning on esports in college, I hope there's a couple things you guys get from what we're talking about today. So, all right. Dan, did you want to introduce yourself? Do you want me to show this awesome picture I found of you? Let's see.
Sure, I'll introduce it while you throw it up.
Okay, sounds good.
So my name is Daniel Clark. I'm the director of esports for Maryville University. In the past, I've been an LCS owner with Enemy, which is an org I started. I also started E United. I've won multiple national championships, over $7 million in prize money. Call of Duty World Championship, a Smite World Championship. Made Counter Strike majors, and now I'm just focused on collegiate because I think that's the main issue with the industry. It caters to the 99% and it needs to grow down. You don't have like youth esports like you have like youth soccer, youth basketball, all that stuff. So that's what intrigues me, and that's what I'm doing. And Maryville is a school where we give all of our varsity players full rides. So that covers books, tuition, housing, food. And the goal there is to be a place where um, like if a really high level player, their parents don't really support this type of thing, they can kind of win them over by saying, "Mom, Dad, I got a scholarship." Or the player that never became like the superstar, they can kind of retire their career at Maryville and get the degree while they can with their talents. So it's a kind of a multifaceted thing. That's kind of long winded, but yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah, yeah, and just
Yo.
oh, hey, if you're joining for the Discord, if you could mute yourself, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, and just to share a little bit too from a high school coach's perspective, Dan has been really instrumental in MOSIF and getting us off the ground and helping us just kind of blow up as a scene. So we really appreciate all the college coaches that have been helping us out. Adrian from Stevens College has also been helping in Drury, and then we also had Chu from SLU. So we've just as an organization, we've got quite a few colleges supporting us. We got quite a few things going on with us, and we really appreciate everything that's you guys are doing to help us out. So, do you like that picture? Is that a good picture?
Yeah, it's a great picture.
Yeah. Well, what is this one from?
That was from the first national championship that we won at Maryville. It was our first year being a program. Um, the story goes, I was a student at Maryville. My team made the LCS. I asked my counselor what to do when we were offered money for the slot. And then the next 2 days later, I was in the president's office, and the president was asking me what we needed to do to bring esports here. I kind of gave him like a thing. I'm like, if you give me 5 scholarships, I'll bring you an undefeated season. And the coach was like, well, I don't know anything about esports, but no one's really promised that. So let's see if you can do it. So that picture's like relief that like I actually like followed through on it. We actually went 40-0 that season and won the national championship. So
Yeah, that's
that's what you're
awesome.
seeing in that picture right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. Yeah, and then my name's Dr. Curtis Graham, so I'm a middle school teacher, Maplewood Richmond Heights. I've been a coach for a number of years, but this is it's kind of the reason I do this is it's not about getting kids to college. It's about helping kids learn to problem solve, to communicate, to put their heart and soul into things, to think about what they know and where they need to learn. And I have a couple kids that actually I have a lot of kids, and I just want them to kind of always be thinking bigger. And so that's one of the reasons I'm doing this as well. And even if they don't go on to college esports, I want them just to kind of take a measure of their accomplishments and learn and grow and be a part of that. So, um, yeah, and I really appreciate Dan, you coming out today and helping us think through some of those things. So, um, All right, let's see if I can get that moved and my screen. There we go. Sorry. Okay. So a couple things we wanted to just talk a little bit about what it takes to play at the college level. And I know Dan, you were going to share quite a few on that things on that, and then I also wanted to share with you guys a resume builder I'm sharing with my kids at my school as a way for you guys to just take stock of the things that you guys are doing, and whether or not you choose to go on to the college level. It's something that you can say, "Hey, I did this," or as a part of this. So, Dan, do you want to share anything? Just kind of what it takes to be a part of that program.
Yeah, so all 10 of our League of Legends players are top 100 on the ladder currently. Um, they're high level challenger. Same with the Overwatch guys. They're all top 500 currently. We have some that are peaking top 10 at the moment. A couple that have won contenders in the past. So our program's like really an outlier. I would say there's like 3 or 4 other programs that are similar to us, but that doesn't mean like you can't get involved if you aren't quite at that level because there's a vibrant, wide community of college programs in the ecosystem. So you can find your tribe and get a scholarship all the way down to like the plat level, I would say. But that's kind of like the cutoff, in my opinion. When you're looking anywhere below that, um, it's really kind of like a club thing. So it's similar to like the high school club ecosystem, but it kind of moves on to college, and it's really just a matter of using esports as a way to enhance your student life experience in college. Um, but yeah, I mean, the daily life of our players, they have a schedule that goes from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m., um, 3 to 4 p.m. They have a homework hour, 4 to 5 p.m. We have a VOD review. Um, 5 to 6, we have warm up. And then we have like our pre scrim meeting. So they'll play like a solo key game or two, or they'll do like a warm up lobby in Overwatch. Um, and then they go into scrim 6 to 9. And then it's really just going like 9 to 1. Like we have like a solo queue quota that you have to meet every week. So we'll do that, or they'll continue doing homework. You can't play if if you have below a 3.5. So if a student's dipped below 3.5 in our program, they attend practice, but they're doing homework at practice. So it's extremely rigorous. It's intense. Um, on Tuesdays and Fridays, we also have team workouts. So we try to keep our players super healthy. It's a matter of just maintaining a healthy lifestyle, which I think like if you have a healthy body, you have a healthy mind, and that reflects in game. So that's what it's like for us. But like I said, it ranges pretty heavily. Um, I've heard like diamond players getting half ride scholarships. I've heard masters players getting full ride scholarships. It just depends. When I first started Maryville, we were the second program in the country to give scholarships for esports. Now that number's ballooned almost to 500 schools. So it's growing super fast. It's not just going to be League of Legends or Overwatch anymore. Rocket League's huge in collegiate. Um, Smash is getting pretty big in collegiate. Valorant's going to be big when Riot announces something. So there's going to be a lot of stuff in the pipeline for everybody to get involved in. And we're going to be expanding as well. So two of the things that we're looking to pick up is we want to go into Rocket League, and then we want to have a male and female Valorant team. So um, that's fun stuff that we're doing. But um, yeah, that's what it takes to play for us. But like I said, we're an outlier. Um, our goal is to place you in the industry, whether that's as a player or like as a staff member. So um, if you come to Maryville with the goal of becoming a pro player, as opposed to like going through the amateur ecosystem, either it's because you're kind of looking towards the future in case it doesn't work out, or your parents don't really support going full time into esports. And so for those players, we kind of mandate that the rest of the team that might not be trying to go pro, they're playing as if they're trying to go pro to make sure that those players that do want to go pro, they're on display the best way possible for all the scouts and all that stuff. So that's super important to us. But um, even if you don't want to be a pro player, but you want to work in the industry, like in management or sponsorship, et cetera, or even broadcasting, some of the players will use their talents to pay for the school. So like they get the scholarship, and then we kind of work on placing them in the industry by the time they graduate that way. Um, but then we offer $2,000 scholarships for the club kids, and the idea behind that is so I'll use our head League of Legends analyst and scout right now, Tej. Um, he was the manager for his high school basketball team up in Indiana, and he kind of walked into my office day one of school. He wasn't scholarshiped or anything. He asked how he could get involved in the program. He's a huge Cloud9 fan, huge League of Legends fan. Um, and we kind of gave him stuff to do at the beginning, and then as over time, now that he's a junior, like his responsibilities have grown, and now he's like our head scout. So um, he hands pamphlets to all the players before matches that scout what the opponent's playing, what their tendencies are, gives them a full download, schedules all of our scrims, does all of our one-on-one work with the players. I actually think he's going to get hired to the LCS as a staff member. So um, there's a lot of ways to get involved, and we do that for all kinds of students. Whether you want to run Smash events, whether you want to run our broadcast, whether you want to host social events or tournaments on campus. Um, there's several ways to get involved, and that's kind of how we do it. But I would say that we're very much competition focused compared to most of the schools. A lot of the schools are heavily focused on like the industry aspects, getting placed in work. Like Boise's really good at video production, obviously, so that's what they lean on. And there's several other examples of things like that out in the industry. But yeah, that's what I'd say the snapshot is.
Thanks for sharing. I'm interested to pick your brain or maybe even talk to your stats guy. I was gonna show a few things. So like over at Maplewood, we talked to I think it was a Lindenwood coach, and he mentioned that they were given a full ride for a stats person at Mizzou.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we actually we have a stats team that we're working on. I was gonna show them off. So, and we're not quite sure what's going to go on with it, but we know that colleges are given money for things like this, and so we're developing a portfolio, which I'm going to show you here in a second. That's my stats team. We also had a team that was writing grants for us, and you know what? Even if they don't get a scholarship for esports, like that's a skill that they can take and they can show off in a lot of different ways. That they're earning money for their school by writing grants. So um, there's lots and lots of different things that you guys can do, even if you're not at the highest level. And you heard from Dan some of the different things they're looking for at kids at the highest level. So there's a lot of things out there. If
What
you, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and what it is that you want to do, it like starts with like showing initiative. So this is a very entrepreneurial industry. It's very new. It really is a matter of like your hustle is what your reward is in the industry. So it's not something where it's like, oh, I want to get involved in esports, so I'm just going to join the club and then that's how I'll get the job. No, you have to like really put yourself out there, really try to innovate. So like I'll give an example of one of the things that Teach has done that has really been adopted by a lot of teams. He actually built a pivot table. I don't know actually what form of table it is. I'm not a stats guy. He programmed a table into Google Docs, which is a draft doc, and essentially it has all of our historical drafts that we've had over the last 2 years in that doc, and we can actually live draft on it during scrims. If we type in a name, a champion pops up, and then that data will automatically be fed into like an overall distribution that we can go in and kind of pick apart after scrims. So we have like a year's worth of data. He built that whole table out, and these are that type of table is theoretically something that Tej could make an LLC for and sell that table to LCS teams for quite a bit of money. So that's the type of initiative that I'm talking about. Like if we're talking about like something in broadcast, finding a way to streamline the broadcast, come up with more efficient scenes, um, build out better quality for the stream. Um, just you have to show initiative. It's not it's like, hey, I'm gonna exist inside of this entity and then I'm gonna make it there one day. You really have to like work at it every day. Um, and you can't just kind of coast. So that's like the biggest advice that I have for a lot of especially our freshmen that come in. So when Tej came in and he said, I get a ton of students that come in and say, hey, I want to work in the LCS one day or something like that. Whatever their goal might be. When they come in, that I'll probably get like 50 students a year that come in and say that as a freshman. So when Tej comes in, and a lot of them, like I'll say, yeah, come in to practice. We'll see what you can do, et cetera, et cetera. and then they don't show up after like day 3, right? Or like their attendance is spotty. But with Tej, I said, all right, we practice at 6 p.m. every day. I want you to come in at 5. I want you to work with the coach on prep and just listen for the first month. And he showed up every day on time. Uh, he listened. We call people that are listeners in esports SpongeBob's because they sponge up all the information. So he's a huge SpongeBob, which we love. Um, and after a month, that's when we started giving him goals and things to work on and stuff like that. So it's really just a matter of consistency, working at it, and really putting yourself out there. So I just want to like make that super clear.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. So, yeah. So I wanted to share this with you guys, and it was again something I was planning on sharing with my students. And once I was kind of talking to a couple of coaches, I realized there's a lot of people that were looking for something like this. So most of this I'm not going to take credit for. DJ, which is one of yours, right?
He's one of my alums.
Yeah, he did a presentation on college and esports to us at a MOSIF conference, and so I took a lot of the things he was telling us there, and I made a spreadsheet out of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in the sports chat. I'm gonna put that in the Twitch for you guys, and just go through a couple things. I heard from him, and I heard from you, Dan, and I heard from you on things that students should start taking measure of, start recording, so that way, whenever you go and you start building a resume for why somebody should take you, you have some stuff to show them. So yeah, so that is up in the Twitch. It's up in the Discord. Um, let me pull that back up. So one thing, and feel free to just jump in anytime you feel like it, Dan. But one of the things that you said was this 1 minute highlight. Oh, real quick, if you go on and you go to File, make a copy. You can make this yourself, make this for yourself, and yeah, and just feel free to use it. So it's for you guys. But you said so there's a couple normal things like your name, your graduation year, your GPA. One thing I want to point out as a teacher, because I'm kind of biased, I always want to throw this off. It's really hard for you to get scholarships for anything if you don't have the GPA that shows you're going to be able to make it in college. And so, as much as I want you playing games for us or being successful, I want you to be successful in school first, because nothing else can happen if that's not there for you. Would you agree on that, Dan?
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
It's something that I kind of learned over my years of being an admin, but the grades are the most important thing. That's what you're there for. So
yeah,
and and it's gonna build the work ethic that's gonna carry you through the rest of your life. Honestly.
yeah. Desired program of study. Whenever you're looking for a college, you want to pick out what you want to be involved in. So, like maybe actuarial science or medicine or whatever it is you want to go to school for. But yeah, the 1 minute interview, that was one thing you really was really important to you. Could you talk about a little bit why that was really important to you?
Yeah. So when I'm scouting, so this isn't like hockey or baseball where I got to physically go to a rink or to a field to watch someone, right? I can look at leaderboards and ranks and I can kind of start there, right? And then start deeper diving and watching VODs. But even when I do that, I never get to like meet the person unless I reach out. But if I don't know that you exist and you're reaching out to me or like this is part of your resume, it's really important to like get to know the person that's behind the gamer tag, like the real name, like the way you talk, the way that you carry yourself. So this is something that's super popular in sports. You can look up high school football prospect interviews. It's super common. You basically just uh, rapid fire answer questions like, "What are your biggest strengths as a player? What are your biggest weaknesses as a player? What are you working on this year? What do you think has been your biggest accomplishment in the last few years? How have you been handling school? What do you think the differences between high school and college are going to be academically for you?" Um, just doing something that can show a little bit of personality and something that kind of humanizes the gamer tag. Because after a while, when I'm looking at hundreds and thousands of names when I'm going through the recruits for next year, they all kind of blend together. So the recruits that send me something like that, it really stands out, and I think that's super important. The other thing that I would say is like if you're going to send in film to a coach, uh, some coaches might like it, but they aren't great coaches if this is something they're looking for. Don't send in montages. Like, don't send in like quick cuts of like ranked highlights or whatever. What a coach wants to see, they want to see. Well, if you're a Smash player or like a solo game player, montages can be pretty good. But if you're a team player, like if you're playing in Overwatch and League of Legends, etc., I want to see like a full practice VOD with comms. Um, if you want to go above and beyond, you can like make a little Discord like icon and light up whenever you're talking in the VOD. But I want to see how you're communicating in the team environment. It doesn't matter if it's a win or a loss, or if you're making insane plays. I really just want to see a full game, and I want to see where you're at as a player, and I want to see what I need to build off of, and I want to see how you communicate with your teammates, especially in high pressure situations. So if you have match VODs with comms, that's even better. So if you're gonna attach a montage, at least attach something like that afterwards. The good coaches are gonna appreciate that more than anything else. They're gonna know. They're gonna understand. They're gonna think when they see that um, what's important in this. It's not making flashy 6-man kills in Overwatch, or getting a pentakill in League, or making a flash out play. It's about like who you are as a player at the end of the day. So that's another thing that I want to point out.
Yeah, that's really important. And I think something that came out, I think DJ said it, or maybe Chu, or maybe even you, whenever we were at the conference, was um, putting yourself in a stressful situation and showing that you can still communicate well and be a good teammate shows a lot about you as a potential candidate for college.
100%.
Yeah.
Like, so unless you've played sports, so there's a higher percentage of people that haven't played sports, like in the esports ecosystem, coming in through colleges and even into the pro scene. Um, like in sports, you're conditioned to like be a member of a team, and you travel growing up, et cetera, et cetera. But a lot of gamers don't really have the luxury of doing that, or they didn't really get into it. So we have a higher percentage of players that are hard to work with in the team environment. They'll argue with players, they'll ego their teammates, they'll shut down when they fall behind in the lane, or they're playing weak side, uh, things like that. So if that's you, that's something that should heavily be worked on, and being a team player, being someone that's going to rally the team in a tough game, being someone that's going to take control of comms, and really set what the win condition is for the team, and try to execute on it. Um, that is extremely valuable. Like, we usually take one or two pieces that are like that, and we build an entire team around that. So if you can be that guy, that or girl, that's like kind of the gold standard for a player.
Let's see. So a couple other things on here, and then I'm going to jump into some questions because I know you guys have some burning questions for me. Actually, well, probably for me because Dan's going to be the one that has a lot more information for you. The second tab down here is portfolio. So I made that for my students that are actively playing in games. So in here, as if you're from Maplewood, record your games, or I'm recording your games. Start taking some of those and put the links to those YouTube videos or wherever I save those videos, and put those in here so that way you have those. But include some things that show off what coaches are going to look for.
One of the things that I have all of my players do, if we're not using a software that fully downloads the VOD with comms, is I'll have them stream, if you're capable of doing this, to a burner Twitch account that's just a random string of letters and numbers, and essentially uh, that will like document and keep all of your VODs nice and neat. And if you want to pull one out, then you download it using one of the Twitch extension download sites, um, and then you can easily grab it that way. Either that, or you can stream to YouTube and then keep them unlisted. Dropbox, or like having it on a hard drive, the files are pretty big, scrims are pretty long, but so that's a little tougher. But keeping something in the cloud like that and just having it just for you to go back is super important. Even like in your day to day, like if you want to go back and review a VOD, like that's really really big. If you're not doing that, that's another, and you want to take this seriously, that's another thing that you can start with right away.
Yeah, yeah. And then I have one more tab here because I said, I have a lot of students that are working behind the scenes. So my stats group, my grant writing group, like here's some things you might put a statistical analysis you have that you made for us. You might put down a cast that you've done for a broadcasting team. For our grant writing team, you might include some of the grant writing documents that you've made, or maybe even just a small little video talking about what you've done. And again, it will give you some relics that you could pull up when you need it um, to do that. All right, and with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop talking, stop sharing my screen, and let's try to get to some of the questions that you guys might have. So, um, I guess do we want to start with the people that are here in the chat, in the conference with us? I guess we have the college and esports. So, um, okay, so CPA. I don't know if you would end up turning any of this in. What I would do is I would take the things that you have documented and I would make a resume out of that and send that to whatever colleges you might be applying to. It's kind of a way for my kids to store their information.
You would send in like a traditional application, like you would to any school, and then you find out who the esports coach or the president of the club at that school is, and you would send it into them. Even if the school you're looking at doesn't have varsity esports with scholarships, like let's say you wanted to go to like a Michigan State or something, one of the big schools that really doesn't have officialized esports yet. They usually have clubs with like 3,000 people in it, and they have a lot of top ranked players. So it's good to find out who those club presidents are and get involved early before you're coming in, so they can expect that you're coming in. Because when they have like a club day where all the freshmen come in and express interest in a club, you can get drowned out by like 200, 300 people going into that. So if you can start during the summer, that's a huge thing that I would recommend.
Somebody posted about car games. They may have been talking about like racing car games and stuff like that. Is there any competitive scene around from Mario Kart to NASCAR games?
I mean, that's growing. So one of the things that we're looking at in our new building is we're going to add some Red Bull race seats. I don't know what sims we're gonna use for that, but if it's going to be iRacing or if it's going to be Forza and more of like a traditional game, but that is something that has grown in the last 3 or 4 years in esports, and it's something that I think will eventually come to collegiate. So yes, look out for that.
Gotcha. All right. That was all the questions posted in the Twitch. And oh, are you offering F-Zero as a racing game?
I wish there was a new F-Zero,
Yeah.
but no.
Yeah. All right. Got some more questions popping up. Yeah. So whenever you're going to apply to a college, and Dan, you can probably speak to this as well. They'll send you a couple different forms, and like you'll send a resume off to them. In this, so this is really just a spot. Like I have some middle school kids right now playing Smash for me. And
Mhm.
so if they have a good game, what I'm going to have them do is we're going to save that video on YouTube. They're going to put it in that document I shared with you, and then 6 years from now, when they're starting to say, "Hey, I might want to go to Maryville University," they can pull up like, "Hey, Dan, take a look at my growth. This is what I was like when I was a seventh grader. This is what I'm like as a 12th grader. Here's my 1 minute video that's talking about how I am as a person and how I build up my teammates and stuff like that." And it's taking a very unstructured thing of trying to apply for college and putting a structure to it that really highlights your strengths as a person. That's the goal of it. So, you when would you can we send the resume? When would you want kids to start showing interest? Maybe that's more what CPA is getting at.
As early as possible. Like I'm starting to recruit players that are freshmen in high school if they're like challenger. I'm starting to talk to them super early. So I mean, if you go out of your way to express interest in me and my program, like that is huge for me. Especially like early on. Like if I know that you're like a sophomore in high school and you're super passionate about Maryville and you're really thinking about coming to Maryville for esports, I'm going to be way more inclined to get involved uh, with you earlier than someone that just comes in day one, because I'm gonna be familiar with who you are, right? We have 15 to 25 students that have not graduated high school yet that are actively sitting in on our team scrimmages. So uh, if you want to get involved early, like I can actually give you an inside peek on how we operate. I can get you into practice, and you just sit there and you just SpongeBob all the information that you're hearing. You can apply it to your own games. You can talk to my players. Um, there are tons of ways to get involved even before you're at the school. I can't speak for what other colleges do, but I'm sure that any of the other great colleges in the Midwest would be willing to do the same kind of stuff. So that's what I recommend. I would recommend, like, just because you're not a senior doesn't mean that you can't put your name out there. If anything, it's better.
That's a cool thing to think of. So yeah, if you're interested in going to college, reaching out to some of those colleges and letting them know you're interested might be a good way for them to take notice of you. Our next question was Overwatch 2. What are your thoughts on Overwatch 2?
I think Blizzard's in a rough spot just as a company right now, obviously. But I haven't been too impressed with the Overwatch League. I think that Overwatch is like a game that was designed to be an esport first, and then when they designed an amazing esport, which I think it is one of the best esports at the highest level. I think it's one of the hardest esports at the highest level. Um, they started spectating it and they're like, man, we designed this great game, but it's literally impossible to watch. So I think that one of the ways that they're trying to fix that is drop it from 6 to 5 players, which will obviously slow the game down. When you have less players on a team, each kill is that much more important. So I think that there's going to be a lot more jockeying for position on the map before people go in for fights. Um, but I don't know if that'll make the game too boring or if it'll even fix the watchability of the game. So we'll look and see, but I hope it does well because I come from like the Quake and Call of Duty Pro mod days on PC. Like I love movement shooters. I'm not a big fan of like the like wide peak or like hold angles games like Rainbow Six or even like CS or Valorant. So the closest thing to an arena shooter that exists right now in esports is like Apex and Overwatch. So I love the game. It's really hard to watch.
Gotcha. Our next question comes from an NMRH kid, so it comes from Isaiah. What GPA and SAT scores do you need? Probably ACT is probably going to be um, more in this area. So
Yeah, I would say I don't want to be like a general admissions counselor here, but it will depend from school to school, obviously. But if you get a really good ACT score your first try, or like you're getting high 20s, I would not do the SAT personally. It only stands to harm you when you have a really good score on one of them. So that's how I would think. But I'm a coach and a director. I'm not a traditional educator. So I would lean on your teachers more so than my opinion on that.
yeah, what I've heard from traditional sports, and you might be able to tell me a little bit more from the college scene or from the esports scene as well, is um, coaches that can find students with really good academics and can get academic scholarships are really they're things that the coaches really like because that means they can take more of their budget and use it for other things. So if you can walk in with an academic scholarship, they can offer you some money a lot of times in college, and then you're also somebody that's high up on their list as well. Is that true for esports as well?
A lot of the way that it works is the full ride isn't like, let's say Maryville's like a $42,000 a year school, right? The full ride isn't, hey, here's $42,000. What we'll do is we will have all of our potential recruits apply to the school. We'll get an idea of what academic scholarships they qualify for or how they are students. And then if we award them the esports scholarship, like let's say they get 12,000 in academic, uh, the esports scholarship then just fills in the rest. So it's not like a lump sum. So if you are a good student, that gives me an idea that you have a good work ethic, and it's going to be easier to get you into my program. So it's better for everyone all around. So I would 100% like really focus on academics, and a lot of schools aren't as fortunate as I am or have the budgets that I have, so it means even more to them. So um that's how I would answer that.
Yeah, I remember when I was coaching cross country, I had a kid that was like making it to state their sophomore year, and I was like, "Buddy, I'm not going to be able to do much for you if you don't get your grades up." And that
100%.
yeah, that was a lot of the things the coaches were saying too, because if you can't pass classes, they're not. It doesn't matter how good you are; they're not going to take you.
Hmm.
And that's one of the things when you apply, they're going to look at is does this GPA show me that this kid's going to be able to make it at my college? And if
Yeah.
that answer's no, there's no other questions about how good you are. So
There also aren't only GPA requirements within the programs. There are GPA requirements by the league, and they're semester by semester. They aren't overall. So there was one year actually where one of our support players in League of Legends are actually like our starting support player. He had a really rough semester. He just like kind of stopped caring about school. We were trying to motivate him. It was just really hard to motivate him, and his GPA dropped below the minimum, and he was ineligible for the national championship that year.
mm,
And it almost cost us a national championship because we spent a whole year preparing with this guy, and the ball was just kind of dropped at the 11th hour, and we had to use a substitute player going to the national championship. So um, there aren't just requirements in the programs; there are requirements from the league. So it's really important to note that.
gotcha. Arctic wants to know, how do you pick the players that reach out to you about getting in your scrimmages and seeing your program? You know what? Can you see Arctic's question? It's
Yeah, I
a
can.
great, yeah.
So the way that I pick players that go into scrimmages, or how I coach them, or like how I tell if someone has potential. So obviously, I've been doing this for like 9 years now. I have a really good relationship with a lot of the coaches in the region, whether it's in the LCS or in the Overwatch League. I worked with Reunited Cruz, who played for Paris. I had They were like one of the top three Overwatch teams at the time, right before Overwatch League. I've worked with Dandy. I've been in the LCS, so I have a network. So there's there's kind of like a group of coaches that kind of talk about who they're looking at coming up in the next couple of years. So that's kind of where I start. But if students reach out to me, it really just comes down to the interviews. I'll get them in a scrim, or I'll get them in a practice, or or we have combines. And I kind of look at them there. But the biggest thing that I lean on as a coach and as a director is interviews. So you kill the interview, but you might not be as good as the other guy that I'm looking at, or like my first choice. I'll oftentimes give the scholarship to the player that killed the interview, because um, if I feel like that we're gonna have a really good working relationship, I know that I'm confident in my ability to teach someone how to become a better esports player. And I know that by the time that like we hit the national championship year one, or year two, when our starter graduates, or whenever, I know that you'll end up being better than that player that might not have done as well in the interview. So um, definitely work on your people skills, and focus on like being able to sell yourself. That's super important. But the other way that we do it is, so we have a combine in October, and then another one in April, for Overwatch and League of Legends, and then throughout the year we'll do some in other regions. So we have two Australians on our league team. We had a Portuguese Overwatch player. We have a player from Sweden on the Overwatch team. Um, and we'll do combines all over the world. The North American ones will have 400 to 600 people competing in it, every year. And what we'll do is we'll divide all those teams up. We'll invite a bunch of coaches from the community that will volunteer for us, and we'll invite pro teams as well that'll come down, and they'll watch these combines. And then we'll have cuts just like traditional sports. We'll have FaceTimes, one-on-ones with the players, and we really kind of like weed out, and kind of get to our final roster. Um, the reason for those two times is because sometimes players get picked up to go to the LCS or the Overwatch League from our program, um, in November, December, and we have to get a replacement for spring. So that's why we have that fall combine, and then it's the same thing for spring. So um, that's the other way that we do it. So if I'm reached out to, if I think a player has potential based on an interview and watching some of his play, um, they'll be put into the combine, and then we kind of go from there.
All right, all right. Sergeant Seven, do you recommend a player has to follow a game's meta to get far, or can someone get far by doing their own thing? All right, that's a great Maplewood question right there. Thank you, Sergeant Seven.
I like that. The way that I look at games, let's say you're a top laner in league and Urgot's super meta, but you hate Urgot, but Urgot is like by far the best character. If the character is going to make you hate the game, or hate playing the game, especially while you're growing as a player in like your early years, and you're not like playing for a Maryville where we have to min max the meta in order to beat our opponent, don't play it. Like, if like you want to have fun when you're playing the game, right? The way that you're going to get good at something at the end of the day is you have to have fun while you're doing it. So if you're playing a really weird pick, like if you're a Duck Hunt player, go ahead and play Duck Hunt and Smash. Don't listen to any of the haters. If you love that character, play it, and you'll end up being a better player at the end of the day because of it. But like when you get into organized play, your team's going to expect you to be able to at least learn what is good at the moment. Um, if you're a Tryndamere one trick and Tryndamere's not in the meta, you're really easy. It's really easy to ban you out in high level play, or put you on something that you're not comfortable with, and then we just perma gank your lane, and then you lose the game. So as long as like you're not playing something too out of pocket when you get into like organized play, I think it's fine.
You guys did that to me at the coaches League of Legends. Yeah. Yeah.
Me too. You guys were banning my misfortune.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Zareth only. All right. Kiva's next question. For the games you have, what ranking SR do you need to be to considered a varsity player?
I know who you are, Key, but you're pretty close. You're about, are you like 4,300 right now, 4,200? Uh, we'll consider you if you're above 4K in Overwatch. But some of our players are like high 4,600, 4,700. I don't know what the snapshot is of the current ladder, but we have really, really high tier players. So um, I would say above 4K, we'll take a look at you. I think that you're of the rank to be able to be in the combine. So just hit me up sometime.
Arctic asked, when would you start interviewing people? What grade level?
I mean, whatever grade level. I would say below senior in high school. Just make sure that you're approaching me with your parent. I don't really want to be scouting minors without parental consent. So that's super important. Just make sure that like if you're emailing me or if you're hitting me up on Discord, your parents are aware of it, or like your parents are copied on the email. That's really important. But any age, honestly.
All right. Let's see. Hector from NKCHS says, "What fighting games are the most prominent in esports?"
Um, I would say Smash, everything you see at Evo. So um, Tekken, if you're gonna look worldwide, Street Fighter. Um, I know Guilty Gear just came out; it's super popular. It's hard to tell though because fighting games are being pretty gatekept by their netcode right now because of COVID. But as soon as LAN events are a lot more popular and they've come back in full force, I think that they're going to really we're going to really see what's popular at any given moment. But it's whatever's good netcode at the current moment.
Is Smash Brothers in that group as well?
For sure.
Yeah,
For sure.
that's good. We have a lot of Smash Brother interest in
Oh, so do
Missouri.
I. You see all my controllers up there? I have like 4 more over here. I'm a dirty I play Mega Man, Zelda, Wii Fit, and Pikachu though. So a lot of people don't like playing me, but that's my edge. I sit down and they're like, "What do you play?" I play Mega Man. They're like, "Oh, are you serious?" And then I'm in their head before the game starts.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. All right. How long would you what's a training session look like? And I know that's going to be different. That's a hard question to answer because there's so many different things for that. Like, what do you do for that?
So for my pro teams, like when we're gearing up to go to like a world championship or something, or even when Maryville's gearing up to go to a world championship, we can get to a point where we're training 10 to 12 hours a day. But that's like super organized and super structured. If you're solo queuing for 10 hours a day, maybe 2 or 3 hours of that is going to be productive. After 3 hours, they're all going to blend together. Someone's going to tilt you on your team, and it's not going to be good. So I recommend getting up like at least every couple hours, going for a walk if you plan to sit back down again. Don't just sit down in your gamer dungeon and play for 12 hours. It's not how you go pro.
Yeah.
I would, especially like when you're younger, I would supplement like blocked play, like 1 to 3 hours at a time with workouts, things that'll keep your joints healthy, looking up stretches, um, stuff like that. Just diversifying what you're doing while you're young is even more important. I think that you really just need to make sure that you're gaming a healthy amount when you're younger. You're diversifying what you're doing, and then you kind of like hone into it as you get older, as you get into college, as you get into pro. It'll become a lot more like targeted, and the practice will be longer on those targeted. So that's how I see it. Never solo queue for 12 hours a day. don't get stuck in tilt queue or loser's queue. So if you've lost a couple games and you're starting to get angry, step away from the game. Don't let that SR tank, don't let that MMR tank, and pick it up again another time.
Yeah,
My players struggle with that, and I have to step in the lab and I have to be like, all right, you're done, man. We're gonna go for a walk, or we'll go see a movie or something. We'll come back to this in a few hours.
yeah. I'm not sure if it was you or maybe the jury coach said that he only after 3 losses, it's like get up and go away, like get up and
Yeah,
go
yeah.
yeah. Uh,
When it gets bad, you're in tilt queue. It's
yeah.
not tilt queue is a bad place to be. It's like what's the episode of SpongeBob where they go like super deep ocean and like nobody's speaking English? That's what tilt queue is. You don't want to be in there.
Yeah. Just to get an audio clip here that I can share with my parents and students that come up and say, "Hey, I need to not do my homework. I need to play this so that way I can go pro." You are saying they need to go out and take care of their body. They need to go out and take care of their grades. They should not be playing games all day.
100%, 100%. Like
Okay.
if a player comes in to Maryville and like in the first couple weeks I see that he's like slamming 6 cokes a day and is just like eating like the worst food from the cafeteria, like we don't even begin our focus on the game. He usually sits and then we focus on like healthier habits before we even integrate him into the team environment and like practices. That's number one. Um, we that's like super important to me, and that should be like the number one thing. I would say, um, you want to like keep your mental health and your physical health at its peak at all times. That should be like you should be tuning that before you're even thinking about tuning your gameplay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no one wants you playing so much that you're getting unhealthy, and it's you finding. Actually, I find that sometimes, like if you just get up and go for a run, like your head clears up, you're feeling better, and you play better. Like there's a whole lot of benefits from trying to make sure that you're taking care of your body. So
100%.
yeah. Let's see. Next question is a 144 hertz monitor. This is an interesting question because we just got our esports lab this year. Like it, God bless our tech department. They got our stuff right here. And so, what does your setup look like? What do you think you need for competitive play?
So we have 240 hertz monitors across the board. They are not needed for games like League of Legends. And they're not even really needed for FPS titles, but they are very helpful in FPS titles. So if you can afford a 240 hertz monitor, I would say go for it if you're playing an FPS. But for League of Legends, 144 is important. I don't think that like I have players that have come to me that have hit Chop 20 Challenger and they come into the lab and they're like, "This is crazy. I've never had anything like this before. Like this keyboard is so sick." And I'm like, "Well, what did you play on before?" He's like, "Oh, I played on a mouse or I played on a laptop." So and I got like 20 frames. So like if you're getting 20 frames per second, you can still hit Challenger. It's like kind of like a hockey stick. Like once you get good at the game, like fine tuning your curve and making it personalized to yourself, uh, can elevate your game. But at the end of the day, like it's just a piece of wood and or it's just a piece of carbon and you can you can you can still play at a high level even if it's not optimized.
Hmm. Thank you for that post there, Margrob. Um, yeah. Um, all right. We have run out of questions from the Twitch and from the Discord. Does anybody else have any other questions? Anything else you'd like to ask Dan? Um, Anybody from the Twitch? Anybody from the Discord? Okay. All right. Well, oh, wait, hold on. I see some more people. I think we're all just talking. Has anybody got any other questions that's not about what kind of monitor Isaiah is getting? How does it feel to be cool? Dan, how does it feel to be cool?
I'm not very cool. When I get back from this retirement, I'm going to someone's retirement party right after this, and then afterwards I'm going to come home and I'm going to play World of Warcraft until I go to bed. So not that cool, but I
Oh,
mean, winning is cool. I like winning,
yeah.
so that's pretty cool.
So now I think you're pretty cool, but then you just put that out there. Now I got to ask, like Horde or Alliance, which one?
I'm a fire mage on Horde, so
Okay, yeah, see, you're pretty
yeah,
cool. Yeah, yeah, you're
yeah.
cool.
I play the only high APM class in the game.
I gotcha. So
Is
got
390 hertz a good idea? You know what, man? If you can get 12,000 hertz, go for it.
yeah,
But I don't think your eyes are capable of that unless you're a cyborg.
yeah. What's a good age to start working with kids on esports?
um, a good age, like what would you say? Like if I were to like do personalized training with if my neighbor's son really liked Fortnite, like that type of stuff.
Hmm. If you don't mind, I'd like to just jump in here real quick. Like, kids are playing games from really young ages now.
Yeah,
And so if we're thinking about like esports, I think it's really important to again teach kids healthy habits and stuff like that. Like don't give them a switch and let them just start playing from elementary. Kind of help monitor those things, and if we start there, kind of what that looks like at each level, kind of changes. Dan, what?
and definitely don't let your kid play the Mii's in Super Smash Brothers. That's adverse to their health as well. No me
Gotcha,
gunner, no me sword fighter. Yeah.
gotcha. Wouldn't so you were gonna say something there about like personalized training plans and stuff like that? Like, what were you gonna add on to that as well?
That's pretty bleeding edge for what we're doing. Honestly, like there's no camps out there for 7-year-olds that want to hone their esports skills. Doesn't exist. So I would say like I would love to work with the youngest kids possible on esports, but like I would want to do it with like science behind it. I would want to figure out like I would actually want to like learn from it, right? I wouldn't want to just go into like a 10-year-old's like Fortnite practices and try to help them get better. Like I would want to try to build a structure around it, take notes and actually try to build something that is effective because it's not that's like undiscovered territory. So
Yeah.
um I
He
want I do want to do summer camps for middle school kids at Maryville in the near future, and high school kids. So where and one of the ideas I have with MoSef is I want to deploy my challenger players or my grandmaster players to different teams and like guest coach. So these are things that like I'm kind of thinking about, but I have to really flesh them out.
Yeah. Mark Rob actually went and clarified the question. When do you stop playing for fun versus playing for like an esports future? And I don't think you ever stop playing for fun because then
Well,
that,
well, here's the thing. Like the way I picture esports, like it's basketball. Like it's organized basketball. Like you're going out there against another team, and every day you're playing basketball. You're honing your skills to get good at it. But you can also go out on a basketball court and play horse around the world. You're not really playing basketball, but you're still playing with a basketball, right? That's how I see like people that are just playing the game casually, they're just playing ranked with their friends. Like if they're not like watching their own VODs, if they're not aim training in Counter Strike or Valorant, if they're not um, like critiquing themselves and really being honest with themselves about what they need to do to improve their own game, they're not participating in esport. They can play a esport, they can be playing Counter Strike, but they may not be participating in Counter Strike. Does that make sense? And so it really is a matter of like if you have an 11-year-old son and he wants to be a professional esports player and he recognizes that, he can get started right away on changing the habits and the way that he plays the game and the way that he practices the game. I think that it's really just a matter of like once you get to a point where you recognize, hey, I want to do this, or I want to compete in this, regardless of what level it is. Like I want to strive to be better than the people that I play against. That's the moment that you can start working.
that's a really cool comment to make. Like we've done elementary camps where kids will come in and play like games and stuff like that, and just kind of finding the right things at each time. Like, hey, here's a game. What did you guys see in here? What did you guys think? Is there anything you
Yeah,
want to learn? And just kind of making those sort of things age appropriate, and not being hyper focused on college. Like I said, for my part, the reason I'm doing this is I'm not I'm not interested in sending a bunch of kids to college. I'm interested in building good kids, and
right.
then if they want this opportunity, I want to make that available to them. And that's kind of I think that's my approach for kids of any age. Is I just want to work with you and help you get better. So
But I will say though that my experience has been like there's a lot of players that I meet that are like, oh, I'm just a casual player, but I play Apex casually, which is like by name a competitive title, right? Like there's a winner and a loser at the end of the game. But they don't really. But what I found is like the more often than not, the players that say they just play it casually, they don't really understand how to get better. And once you teach them like little tips and ways that like they improve their game, they always come back to me and tell me that they enjoy the game more. They get more fulfillment out of it once they've improved at it. So um, I would say don't be shy on being honest with yourself and like wanting to improve. Like if you do improve at a game, you will get more enjoyment out of it, especially if it's a multiplayer game. So that's a comment I would make. Whether that's valuable or not to you, I don't know, but it's just an observation that I've seen.
Yeah. From our group too, our kids that are coaching each other, they get a lot more fun out of it too whenever they're watching their friends get better and being part of a community as well. So, um,
Yeah.
is there any tips switching from a controller to keyboard and mouse?
Um, I would say force yourself to play. It depends on what game you're playing. So if it's, I would guess this is an FPS. Um, I would say start playing Osu or Kovacs, Osu with a mouse or Kovacs, and don't get addicted to Osu like I did to the point where now I'm playing with a pen because it's no longer productive to my aim. But uh, I would say start with that. Start getting used to mouse movements. I would say if you're playing like Counter Strike or like Valorant, I would say start with low DPI on the mouse. Your long range shot is more important than flicking on people that are close up. If you have good positioning, you'll be able to kill people from afar, or you'll be behind them anyway. So the long range shot is the first thing to focus on, and then kind of just work your DPI up as you get more comfortable with it. But that's why these mouse pads are so big. It's because uh, pro players utilize low DPI. So you'll see like their whole arm move. If you're playing an FPS and like this is like the maximum that your mouse is moving, you're not playing the FPS properly. So uh, that's the way that I would look at it as an FPS. If you're playing League of Legends or a game where it's not really about mouse movement, it's more about uh, like using keyboard for mechanics. I would say just like get really acclimated with typing, get really good at typing. It's like playing a piano, kind of. So being able to get the key that you need to get to fastest or without looking at um, the keys, that's where you should start.
Okay. All right, guys, we've got about 2 minutes left. Mr. Murlock asked, "What games will there be?" I'm assuming at the college level. Do you want to give us like a rundown of like what kind of things they're currently available?
So far, I know of scholarships that are being awarded for, and I'm gonna kind of do it from descending order and like popularity to like least popular. I would say like League of Legends, Rocket League, Overwatch, Valorant, Rainbow Six, Super Smash Brothers, Guilty Gear, um, and those are kind of the major ones. There are scholarships that exist for like Halo or Forza or other titles, but they're a lot less common. And they're a lot of times they're third party ran, so um, they aren't really ran by Blizzard or Riot or that's kind of what I look at when I look on getting into a title. It does Riot support the collegiate ecosystem? Does Blizzard officially support the collegiate ecosystem? Um, but yeah, there's some form of competition that exists for every title. I would say that the biggest up and coming esport I would say in colleges would be Call of Duty, collegiate Call of Duty. I think that Activision's going to pick that up and they're gonna get involved with that sooner than later because it's just growing really fast.
It's a hard one for us to do at the high school.
It is very
Yeah.
it's hard to do at college too. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, guys, we've got about a minute left. I want to use that time to really just say thank you, Dan, for coming here and answering our questions. This was really, really helpful. You guys can reach out to the chat as well for everything that you do for us as Mosif, for everything you did for us today. We just really, really appreciate you. I just saw a tweet from Chu saying how much he appreciates you helping him build a team that he can compete with you against now. So, are you guys going up against each other soon?
I guess we are.
So,
We're in like a rebuild phase too, so he might actually knock us off tonight. So we'll see.
oh my
Um,
goodness.
but yeah, if you want to get in touch with me, do it through your coach, please. Or your faculty member or staff member or someone at MOSEF. And if you want to start getting involved in watching some of our practices, just let me know and we can get that arranged. Hopefully, when COVID gets a little bit more resolved, I can start sending some of my players out to your schools.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you so much. It looks like Amy wants to say thank you too, or something. I see her typing. Um, but I did do a recording of this. I will post it up on YouTube. Yeah, there we go. Hey, gosh, Amy's the best. Just love Amy. Um, we would not survive as an organization without her.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna take this recording. I'll put it up on YouTube, and I'll post it here on the server. And you guys can feel free to share it with anybody you think this might be helpful for. So yeah, Dan Clerkie from Maryville, my alma mater. I actually got all three of my degrees from there. So
That's
um,
awesome.
yeah, really appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks
and
for listening.
yeah, and thanks students for coming up today. So.